Okay, this is Dr. Signato. I'm going to walk you through some advanced things about the discussion board. I can't remember if I included any of this stuff in the last one, so if this is redundant, then that's not such a bad thing, I guess. But anyway, so I'm in your forensic psych class. I've clicked on discussion board, and right now there are two discussion boards up. One says course questions, and one says DB introduction. Course questions is literally the equivalent of when you raise your hand in class and you got a question that pertains to the entire class. And what you do is you just go here, click on it, wait for it, wait for it. Alright, there you go. Actually, before you do anything, as soon as you watch this video, go in here and click on subscribe. What will that do? Well, anytime a student posts a course question or it's responded to by anybody, whether it be the professor or whoever, it'll be sent to you as an email. And be honest with you, you're expected to do this. So because anything that's in there, you're expected to know. And important stuff is going to be in there because it's just the way it is. And then if you have a question, just create a thread. Now, check this out. So I clicked on create a thread, and okay, now the first time you log in, actually, your options are going to probably look like this. And let me show what I did. Okay, this is just a little too small, but just enough. Okay. Suppose you have a question about due date on assignment 1. I was misspelled assignment, that's okay. So I'm just clicking, and who cares what I'm typing here. Now, see this arrow over here? If all you see is this stuff here, click on it. Bam. Look at all that stuff up here. Isn't that awesome? Now you have all your options available to you. And by default, it'll stay open every time you log back in. Once you put whatever your question is, hit submit. Now, if another student posts something and you think you know the answer, you can go in there and respond. But like I said, the key thing is to click on the subscribe button, because anything that's posted in here, you are required to be aware of. So the way to do that is click on subscribe. I know I'm kind of being a dead horse, but whatever. Okay. Now, in each week there'll be at least one discussion board question, and they're going to be subdivided into groups. We'll post directions on how that's going to work shortly after this video is posted. But in the meantime, it's really important that you learn a few things about good housekeeping with discussion boards. So in this particular one, there's only one thread. So I click on the introduction, and there's the thread I posted right here where it says reply to my thread. Now, check it out. When you log in, when you click into the thread, before you go there, in the future, you're going to be assigned a group A, group B, group C, whatever. And it'll say thread, it'll say group A, and then the name of the thread. If you're in group A, that's for you. That'll be more clear as we get beyond this initial week, Labor Day weekend, whatever. Okay, so check this out. I log in, and this is going to be super annoying, especially if you're on a slower connection. Notice how by default everything was open. Well, what I always tell students is collapse all. Bam. What that's going to do is it's going to do what it just did, which is collapse all the views. Why is that a good thing? Well, because what will happen is if you have them open, as you scroll down, it'll automatically show them as having been read. This means you haven't read that view yet, this little blue dot. Now this, on this introductory thing, it's not such a big deal, but on the weeks when you got students commenting on each other and with the professor and everybody's talking back and forth, it's going to be important that you actually know the difference between the ones you've read and the ones you haven't. So what I always tell people is with this new setup that they have, click collapse all, and then you'll see that everything there, and then you can just click on it and expand. So, hi, my name is Andre Jones, blah, 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 and, oh, that's nice, love you nights, cute, okay. So, now what I'm going to do is, okay, so let's suppose I created a new, let me suppose I'm not, alright, I got it. Here's what I'll do. I'm going to reply to this one. Okay, so notice here's all my features. And Andre, I'm not going to do the thing with the E, whatever. You know, whatever, cool image, have a good weekend. Have a good one, whatever. But now I can customize this. I can like make this bold or underline or whatever. Okay. You might want to fiddle around with this stuff because there's actually some useful features in here. Like you can highlight text. So you just highlight it and then go up there and then bam, look at that. It's yellow. Or you can change the color of text. So you go here and it's like, oh, make that red. You know? And you can do all kinds of formatting stuff, whatever. You can include mashups. So like YouTube videos and oops, crap. I know you guys know how to do that by now because I told you to do this assignment, the introductory assignment. Well, the reason I did that was to get you comfortable with doing some of this stuff because you're going to want to use this stuff later. It's going to help you in conveying whatever your arguments are or your points or whatever. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to switch. One of the things that students don't really appreciate frequently at the undergraduate level is that these discussion boards really are rolling discussions. And there's two aspects of this. One, it literally is supposed to be about a back and forth. You can't just like lurk in the back of the classroom like you can in a real class. If you're the quiet one, sorry, you gotta type, dude. Second, some discussion boards are set up so like as you post stuff, everybody can see your stuff right away. There's another version of a discussion board called a moderated forum, which simply means that as each student posts their initial response to whatever the prompt is, until the professor opens it up or releases those responses, you can't see each other's responses. So you can't just simply post, yeah, what she said, as like your initial response. Or, gee, I read what, okay, this is Andre's thing, right? So I read what Andre wrote, and yeah, I agree. Really? No. It's not the point of these discussion boards. The point of these discussion boards is really to put into practice and to develop arguments and responses and sort of debate them. It's not a it really is like sort of kind of like a debating society, if you will. Okay, what I'm going to do is just to illustrate this point, I'm going to go into another class, a class that I'm teaching, just to show you how involved these things can be. Your class has a lot of students, which is why we're going to divide them up into subgroups. I got some classes with, that are online with only 15 students, yet, well, I'll show you what yet. Hang on one second. I'm just going to pause, and when we open up, we're going to be in another class, so don't go anywhere. Okay, we're in a different class now, and it's a class that I'm teaching, but yours is going to be set very similar to this. So there was 30 students that started in this class, or actually 28, whatever the number is. But that's a fairly sizable number for an online class. So what I did was I divided them into groups. So weeks 1 through 5. Here's all their names. Here's their group assignment, and you'll see how that works out in a minute. You're going to get something very similar to this. It's not already up there at this precise moment, but it will be shortly. And I'm recording this on Saturday night after the Roll Tiders won, and I don't know if LSU won, but I don't care anyway. So here we go. Go to the discussion board, and wait for it. So my purpose of doing this is to show you two things. One, to illustrate how the different groups are going to be set up. Number two is to show you what kind of expectations we have with respect to the interactions, because you should know what to expect. Okay. So notice how in this class, so week 3 had actually so a discussion board is also sometimes called a forum. Okay. So you'll go in and you'll see, with your class, there's probably going to be 4 groups, but, A, B, C, D, but I'm not sure yet, but just stand by on that. Well, let's suppose there was 2 groups, like there is in this class. So we have Group B and Group A. They both get the same question. The difference is that the students who are in Group A are expected to work in that group, and in Group B they're supposed to work in that group. They can go to other groups. Sometimes they cross over because they want to see what the other group is saying, and they jump in, and that's totally cool. However, you're expected to work in your group. If you got time, go for it. Now, each of these groups has about 14 students, and I just want to illustrate how involved some of these discussion boards can be. I'm going to collapse all. So notice what's happening here. So this is actually our technical assistant. So he posted the original question for Group A for me, and then this student, Alicia, responded to my post, or responded to that post. As you can see, because when you reply to the initial post, it puts your response directly underneath. See how this is all hierarchy? So Alicia responded to me, and then James responded to her, Alicia responded back, and then Saul down here responded to James. How do I know that? Well, look, because he must have been in James's post and hit reply because it's underneath at the same level as Alicia. Now, if he responded to her response, it would have been indented. So, there's some visual cues there, and they're kind of subtle. You have to see these lines are kind of subtle, but there are visual cues that let you know who is responding to whom and what have you. Now, one of the phrases that you'll hear from us is, put your initial response in by such and such a date or such and such a time or whatever. So what you do is you go into the discussion board, and you hit reply, and put your initial response in. Now, if it's a moderated forum, you will not see yours or anybody else's response once you hit reply. Doesn't mean it's not there. It just means it's hidden until the professor reveals it. And we sometimes do that because we want students to develop their own independent ideas and what have you, and then debate or explore the gaps between them or whatever. Now, some of these students actually get pretty involved with putting images and videos in their posts, and I'm going to illustrate that in 1 second. Different thread, actually a different discussion board from the same class. So I have this one where I have a link to an article on CNN where I took some of these quotes out, and then this picture of Rolling Stone magazine featuring the Boston bomber, or the surviving one anyway. And then a little link about about this sergeant who released some of the pictures from the capture of the bomber. And some of the students put pictures in their posting, and if I really go down through, there's like over 100 conversations back and forth. And the point of this is to say, look, you can add stuff. It actually might accentuate and help your argument. Put links to relevant stuff, articles or whatever. You should do that. That's part of what makes this medium interesting, is that students get an opportunity to actually debate with each other, as opposed to the 2 or 3 students who are always raising their hands, and you know who you are. I'm just saying. No, but seriously, you can't hide in this class because, well, just to illustrate what happens, just so you know how you're being graded. Let me illustrate something for you real quick. And then you'll be like, oh, snap. Now, I will tell you that quality trumps quantity, but just putting a single post in and then rolling, ain't gonna work. So just give me a minute here, bear with me. Trying to get to, see, that was from over a 3-day period. That was 181 individual comments were posted in this one discussion board, and sometimes it does get that crazy. Okay, check this out. So you know how your professor sees things. Here we go. Okay, so here's all the students' names, and click on grade. Our typical standard is that these things are graded on a 10-point scale. So okay, in this one individual thread, which is about the Boston bomber, this particular student had 5 posts. It tells me when his final post was posted in terms of if there's a timestamp, length, and all that. And so I have every single one of the postings that this guy did, all right there. There they are. So I can skim through them and get a sense of like what their participation was like. Did they challenge other students? Did they compliment them when they thought it was necessary? Or did the person swoop in on a Sunday and put a whole bunch of posts to make it look like they did work when in fact they didn't? You feel what I'm saying? Because watch this. Now I'm just going to jump to this other student, Ashley. Ashley probably didn't do well that week. She only has 3 posts. See, that's the number of posts right there. These are graduate students in our online program. Okay. Well, let's see. This person didn't do so well. They got 5 out of 10. Insufficient participation. Damn. I'm a hard grader. Kind of am, actually, but anyway. Let's see. Jennifer Parr. Right here. Bam. She did 12 that week. She did more than anybody else. Now, does that mean she got a good score? Yeah, actually she got a 9.9 out of 10. But they're actually really good posts. Quality is key. Participation is key. In a course like this, the professor is no longer just telling you what to think. This is really about you taking what's conveyed to you and really thinking it through and developing your own point of view and developing your own perceptions and arguments and articulations of the topics. Anyway, where the rubber hits the road are these discussion boards. And that's something you're just going to have to get comfortable with. And there you go. So, all right, I think I've said enough. I want to go to bed.